Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you this step-by-step tropical island painting. We're going to be working on a gray primed canvas, so you can take any canvas you want and just paint it gray first. Light gray or dark gray will be fine. Of course, you can also paint this on a white canvas as well. I'm going to be using a Filbert brush to begin, and these are the colors here that I'll list down below in the description of this video. I'm going to begin with my white and a little bit of my neon yellow warm. And I've also got some neon pink there that I'm going to use to create the warmth and brightness in the sky. I'm going to create some little scoops and pull my brush side to side, kind of just going in little crisscross motions, and I'll create my horizon right about here. And then watch how I turn my brush over with my handle of my brush pointing straight up to the ceiling. And this is a great tip for creating those little scoops and puffy looking clouds with all the breaks in them showing the pretty sunset colors in between, giving you that really magical light effect. So I'm going to alternate and mix up little bits of my pink and my yellow and my white right now. And then I'll come in with a little bit of my light ultramarine blue you'll see here in just a moment. I'm going to start creating subtle hints of rain falling in the background there in the distance just by softly pulling and flicking up and down gently with my brush, and then I'll go right back to creating those scoops. Okay, so now for our next step, without washing my brush off, white and light ultramarine blue, I'll mix them together, wiggle my brush flat to get a nice ridge of paint on the end to load my brush evenly. I'm going to again turn my handle right side up and start coming in between the gray parts of the clouds and the breaks that we have with those nice warm bright colors. Now you can scumble out that paint as well when your brush starts to get a little bit dry, and that will give you a really soft, smoky, hazy look and just make those clouds look even softer in the sky. And you can add a little bit less blue if you want, or more blue. Either way, it's going to look really pretty. These colors are very complementary together, and you don't have to worry about the pink and the blue mixing. You're not going to get any muddy tones like this. It's all going to look really pretty together when the pink and the blue combine, and even that light yellow warm, you'll get a little bit of a smoky lavender color, which is really pretty. So I'm going to continue along here in between all these little clouds, and then I'm going to brush over on either side of the water, and then I'll start to begin a little wave just coming up on the shore. So just underneath either side of the horizon there, I'm going to pull and flick towards the center and back and forth and soften that. I'm going to add a little bit more of my blue in some spots just to make it a little bit more saturated. And now with my brush pointing down or just straight out in front of me like this, I'm going to start to scumble around a little bit of what's left of my brush, and with a little bit of white on the end, I'm going to wiggle and create almost a little frilly edge that creates that little foam that you get on the wave that's coming in, that you get on water on the seashore. So it's just really, really simple. Just wiggle and dab and spread lightly. Just to create that foam look. And then I'm going to come in with my warm colors and add highlights and have the sunset colors reflecting there on the water as well. Now right here down below the little wave, this gentle little wave, I'm making it look like it's wet and shiny. I want that sand and that beach to look wet and shiny like it does when you've got the pullback from the little waves. And so you just kind of pull straight down, and then you can pull a little bit of across as well, back and forth, and you'll instantly get that look. The trick is to not make it look solid and just have really thin amounts of paint on your brush, and then you'll still be able to see, and you still want to be able to see that gray canvas underneath. So I'm just going to scumble lightly, creating little wiggles back and forth, leaving some spots showing with the blue and the gray canvas underneath for little ripples in the water, and some more of the foam and little highlights here and there. I'm just going to continue doing the same technique down here, wiggling and then pulling up and down. I don't want to go right over that foam. I want to leave a little dark shadow separating that wave from the sand. So if you look carefully right underneath, it's going to be dark there. That way it will look 3D, and you'll be able to see that separation, and you'll get a really nice contrast and light and shadow happening. I'll come underneath that little wave with a little bit of blue just to add more of a gentle and pretty colored shadow there, just to tie in all those colors together. And I'm going to add a little bit of my warm sky colors right here for a nice highlight in the water in the center. All right, so I'm coming here with my blue now, as you can see, and it just adds a little something extra. It softens it a little bit, and it's just really, that blue is so pretty with all the peach and corals that we've got going on in the light pink. I'm going to just tidy this up a little bit more, wash it out, and switch over to a liner brush. Now you can use any liner brush that you want. I'm using this with a bit of water, white, and my warm colors here, my pink, my light yellow. That kind of looks more like a peachy color, doesn't it? A light orange color. And I'm just going to add a little bit of veining in and around the clouds for a little bit more detail and subtle highlights. So just little scoops, little wiggles. And I'm just going to continue to come here in between these clouds. These ones are a little bit larger up top. I'm going to use my finger in between to soften and blend, making it look kind of smoky and a bit softer and thinner. So some areas are going to be softer, some are going to be more in detail. So where I want it to be really bright, I'm not going to use straight white. I really want to have my white tinted the brightest, just with that little bit of neon yellow or luminous yellow warm. So that's all I'm using here, and I'm using barely any water. So you have to have a lot of patience and be very gentle with the amount of pressure you're applying, so that you can actually make your paint go a little bit further. So the less amount of pressure you use, the further that little bit of paint will take you in these tiny little brushes. I'm now going to add a little bit of ripples here, brighten my highlights a little bit more, and just make this a bit more dramatic and vivid right here. So just little lines back and forth, side to side. I find if you do this quickly, it's a lot easier than trying to do one by one perfectly. So it's kind of to get that rhythm going and not thinking about it too much. Just go really quickly back and forth, and it'll be so much easier and look a lot better, trust me guys. I'm going to add some of those pretty colors here on part of the white in the water. Just have everything kind of harmonized in this painting together. All the colors are working well with one another and complementing one another. Okay, so after adding a few of my warm colors for highlights, I'm going to go into my blue and my white and add a little bit of a softer shadow, kind of a shadow, and little wiggles here, just kind of shaking and wiggling and dragging my brush around very lightly to get that natural pattern that happens on the water when you get that little bit, those little bits of foam and little soft gentle waves. We want to keep this very gentle and a serene, tranquil feeling and vibe to this painting, so I don't want to do any big waves. That being said, I'm going to be doing a larger wave tutorial coming up soon. It's been a while since I've done one of those, so look forward to that, guys. Make sure that if you're subscribed to my channel, you tap the bell so you get notified and you won't miss out on any of my videos. So I'm back to my Filbert brush now. I'm going into my turquoise, a little bit of white, and I'm going to add a turquoisey Caribbean tropical looking water glow here, and just brushing very, very gently and lightly over all those other colors, leaving not to cover up all of them. I want to enhance that, right? So I want to have a little bit of all of those colors. So it's kind of like the sun is going down, sunset time, and you can see those beautiful sunset colors, but you can still see a hint of that gorgeous Caribbean tropical looking water. And that's what kind of just gives it that really dreamy look to this painting. And I'm going to even add a little hint of it up here in the clouds. So whatever's left in my brush, which is hardly anything, but just enough to tint some of the areas in the clouds and give them a little bit of that minty green tone to them. Now turning my brush over again with my handle pointing up to the ceiling again, coming in with a little bit of white. You can use straight white for this if you want, or you can tint it with one of the warmer colors, which I prefer to do. And I'm just going to add a little ridge of paint here. It's going to be a little bit thicker, so once it dries you'll be able to feel it be a little bit bumpy and stick out from the canvas just slightly. And so I'm not going to be blending a lot with my brush. I just want to put that paint on, leave it, and then head towards the horizon here, and I'll start to soften scoops on an angle slightly, and then I'll begin to pull in some soft sun rays, and I'm going to have them going up towards the top of the sky. Before I begin that, I'm going to go in here and do a few more details with my little liner brush. I thought maybe here would be interesting if I had a very faint suggestion of some lightning. And if you guys don't want to have a little bit of lightning in your painting, you can just leave this part out. It kind of gets camouflaged and lost later on as I add my palm leaves and my trees anyways, but it's something I just kind of wanted to add there. I thought it added a little bit of excitement to the calmness in this painting. Maybe the storm is passing now and we're left with this beautiful tranquility after it's gone. So here, brushing up and down with a little bit of water and white paint, just like I would paint sun rays with the same dampness in my brush, the same technique, just up and down to make it look like rain way off in the distance. And I'm going to create another little hint of a gentle wave that came up here. So just a little wiggly line, very thinned out paint. And then I'll soften that a little bit later on. I'm going to slide my brush side to side with my sunset warm colors, the yellow and the pink and the white, side to side. And then I'm going to come over now with sap green, a little bit of black, and I've also got some cadmium yellow here, so you can use any yellow that you want. I would try to stay away from any blue greens because palm trees are more of a yellowy green. They're a warm green, and that's just going to work best for this painting. So no phthalo green, guys. Phthalo green is got too much of an emerald green look to it, which is kind of blue, and that'll look a little bit fake. Unless you want to go for more of a fantasy type of painting, then that's different. Then you could go with any green that you want. But in this case, I would really and highly recommend going with a sap or a hooker's green. And if you only have a cool green, then what you might want to do is take any yellow that you have and mix that with a little bit of black. And you can get a really nice earthy yellowy green by taking black and green together. So I'm going to create my palm leaves here, and I really like using a filbert brush for making palm trees and palm leaves, but you can also use a round brush, a liner brush, or a fan brush. I would definitely try all of them and experiment until you find the one that you feel most comfortable with. Over all the years of painting and practicing with different brushes and techniques, I always seem to go back to the filbert. For me, it just works the best. Oh, I should also mention you can use a flat brush too. I have used flat brushes in the past and they work pretty good. I just like the round end to the filbert. I think it really helps to create the arc easily of each of these palm leaves. And then you can, of course, pull and flick to create the instant little individual ones. And as you can see here, I turn my brush sideways and pull and flick to create singular little skinny ones. So there's so many different ways to use this brush. I've got a video out, a brand new video out right now on how to paint 7 different trees with a filbert brush, and a palm tree is one of them. So I'll try to remember to leave a link below somewhere, and if I forget, just have a look for that video on my playlist or on my channel. I've got a playlist of painting acrylics for beginners, so it'll be in there. But so that's what I'm doing here, is just pulling and flicking both ways with a brush to create it a little bit thicker sometimes, and then do those singular ones that you see I'm doing here. Again, I'm using black with sap green, and then to highlight, I'm going to add a highlight to some of these palm leaves to give them that shiny look that they have, especially after it's rained and they look wet and shiny. So I'm going to be taking a little bit of my cadmium yellow, and I'll also be taking just a little bit of white, and that's optional. You don't have to add the white if you don't want. If you want to keep your palm leaves dark and a little bit more in silhouette, then stay away from the yellow and the white and just keep using more of the black and the green, or just black and yellow, if that makes sense, guys. I know I'm throwing a lot of info at you here, but I like to give you guys options. So if you feel like you need to watch this video a few times to catch everything I'm telling you and demonstrating, go ahead and do that. You can also pause this video at any time. And here you can see I'm going into my yellow, and I love this green. This just makes the perfect color for palm leaves. Now, if you have green gold, I've got a tube of green gold by Artist Loft, and it's high viscosity. It's a beautiful one. If you got that, that'll work really well. You could skip these colors and just use that. But you will need to use black at the beginning stages, so you have a nice dark base to go off of, and you get that nice contrast and shadow happening. So here I'm just adding it over, not every single leaf. I'm going to do a few of them and then leave other ones dark. So this will do 3 things. It'll highlight, it will change the hue and the tone up in some areas, making your plants and your leaves look more realistic. And it's also going to make them look shiny. So there's 3 things there that makes this an important step that I wouldn't skip. If you want your palm leaves to look like this, then don't skip any of them. And right here I'm going to add some more. So there's all sorts of there's many different kinds of tropical plants and palm plants and trees. So sometimes we have those lower ones that kind of look like little fans, and I'm kind of going for that here, but you really can't go wrong. You can put any kind of foliage, green, dark green foliage around, and palm leaves, kind of just create some kind of a tropical looking frame in your beachscapes and seascapes. It's so cool what you can create, and the atmosphere you can create and feeling of your painting when you do something like this. It's also kind of a nice idea for any garden scenes or landscapes you have with cottages. You can do sort of a frame around with ivy and flowers, something kind of interesting just for you guys to maybe think about doing, adding something different to your landscapes. Maybe you've got an old landscape lying around and you just feel like it's missing something, or you want to take it up a notch and make it look really cool. So that's just an idea for you guys to do that. So I'll do a few more of these here, again using the same technique, same colors. Okay, I'm gonna switch brushes here and go over to my flat brush. And I'm gonna use this flat brush with a combination of my neon yellow warm, some white, a bit of water on my brush. I'm gonna blend that up into my brush, make sure that I've got a nice area right in here that I line my brush up. You want your palms to be dry, and I'm gonna pull and flick around gently to create some sun rays. And originally I was going to do my sun rays pointing up towards the top of the sky, but then I decided to have them down here, and then I'm going to show some really soft reflections in the water. I'll add a few more sun rays just above. And then just a little bit more detail in the clouds. And then the remainder of the paint that's pretty dry, it's kind of a dry brush now. Pull and flick down, and then lightly across. So you're gonna leave some spaces, see? You can do 2 or 3 lines, full width of your brush. I think I just pulled in a little bit. Yeah, I've got a little bit of pink in there now with my white, which is really pretty. It goes really nicely with that light ultramarine blue. And the turquoise, actually, all these colors, and I say this a lot in my videos, you can't go wrong with pastels. So any pastel together is going to work, and all the pastels together will work really nicely. So that's great for a sky, for a background. It leaves the guessing work out of it, and it's veil proof. You can use all the pastel colors and shades and tones that you want, guys. It's going to look really nice. It especially looks nice working on a gray underpainting like this. Something about a gray underpainting, I don't really know what it is. I'm not too much of a technical painter. I just kind of work from colors that I like, and I learn as I go. So I'm not really sure the technicality, like why the gray underpainting is really important and effective. I've just noticed that it is, especially for seascapes. I think that pastel colors look really nice against gray. So let me know what you guys think when you try this. I want to know how your experience was and how you liked this tutorial. I'm coming in now, like I mentioned earlier, with a little bit of white and my yellow to bring out a little bit more highlight and shine to some of these little palm leaves here. And see, earlier I mentioned you can use a flat brush for palm leaves too. So when you want to create these little singular ones here, you just turn your brush and use it on the side like this and pull and flick. So lots of little lines. Just tell yourself that's all you're doing. You're creating little lines here and there. So I'm just going to do a few more highlights around here and there on these palm leaves, and then I'll say goodbye to you guys. This video is just about done. I absolutely loved painting this. It was a lot of fun, and I've definitely got some more gray underpainted canvases coming up with brand new landscapes, some exciting things for you guys that you haven't seen yet. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed, you go ahead and do that now and tap the bell. I want to wish you guys happy painting. Thanks for being here today with me in my studio, and I'll see you next time soon. Bye, everybody.